Hello and welcome back to the Fireside stream. I am your host, Remy McNeil, and with me as always, is the erstwhile Mollie Rhymemaster. Mollie, how are you doing today?
Happy Frog Day, everyone. I know this is really surprising because it never happens, but I changed my location again.
At one of these streams, we're going to have you just like sitting and relaxing in Maui. Like,
Yeah.
like it's going to be in the background, the tropics. In fact, you should get a green screen, and I will edit that in for you.
I mean, this is I don't know when I'm leaving this location and then going back home, but yeah, that's going to be a surprise for you as much as it is for me
Yeah.
where I am next. It's not like I'm moving around too much. I'm going between three separate locations that are all within the same, like, 200-mile stretch.
Well, for today's Fireside stream, we don't really have any direct Ruby content to cover anymore. We do, however, however, at the end of our last stream, challenged our viewers to a writing prompt. And that would be a character study of some sort, so that we could get a feel for writing characters and how to do it. And I was going to write up a whole diagram on how the flow of writing a character works, but I was lazy and forgot to do that.
Oh man, I forgot to do that too. Who's first? Is this stars? I recognize the character names.
I believe if you could actually keep track of that for me, in our pinned comments, it should be. I have them in order of the pinned comments.
Yeah, this is stars. Hi, Star.
Now let's actually first reflect a little bit on what a character study is. It's really hard for me to eloquate. Mollie, do you have a better way to word what a character study is exactly?
Well, when I think of a character study, I think of focusing on a specific character going through kind of an abnormal situation in their lives, because I always think that character, like as a concept, you have three separate phases to character at all times: past, present, future. So you have the past, which is their backstory. Backstory influences the present, and then the present influences the character's actions and therefore their future. So a character study is kind of focusing on that cause and effect, and just kind of showing a deeper aspect to the character than what is already presented. It is mostly focusing on the kind of emotional and kind of just, you're really digging in there, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah. So I mean, she really got into that there. The essence of just trying to just nail something about the character. Typically, just the one aspect of a character that you just kind of want to. Well, it depends on how big it is. Like a character study that's like a whole film kind of nails multiple aspects of a singular character. Meanwhile, a short story like we asked for like 500 words or less, something around there, is usually just about one tiny aspect that you can kind of just grasp onto, or one very noticeable one, something like that.
Yeah, I'd say an example of like a show that's just entirely a character study is like iRobot.
I mean, you
That
can't
that show is,
you can't be on the
you could
internet.
have
You can't be on the internet post 2019 and not mention Joker. That entire film is a character study in just a lunatic.
yeah, I mean that too. That's basically the essence, which is that you're focusing on the person rather than a larger overarching plot. The character really is the one driving the story, as opposed to them just kind of being thrown around by it.
Forrest Gump is actually a pretty good example, although it kind of in a weird contradictory way, because he's thrown around a lot by the plot, but it's always about like his reactions to things.
Yeah, Mr. Robot, not iRobot. Sorry, it's a Friday. I'm not thinking. Um,
I,
you know the one I'm talking about.
yeah.
I get confused with names. I don't know who I'm talking to. Where am I?
All you know is, I don't know who I am or why I am here. All I know is girlfriend in chat, and I must kill.
All I know is girlfriend in chat.
All right. So without further ado, let's dive into these and see what we can pick apart, shall we? So this is from Star. So let's start out here. Yeah. This is
I know she's been working on like a big thing.
Yeah, this
Like
would probably
big
be it,
original work.
considering it's 117 pages. That's a little bit longer than the
Yes.
prompt we gave. I'm not entirely sure.
It's okay, guys. It's okay. Are you guys free the next 20 hours?
Star, is this a character study, or is this just a straight thing you threw to us to look into? We'll wait for your reply. Because if it's something to look into, I can add it. Because I have a kind of a we have things in the back of the queue, and we'll put it to the back of the queue for just general review. We want to hit the character studies first, then we'll get into general stuff, because from the general stuff we can then spin off into specific things. So like kind of focusing right now on characters, but maybe we find something in your work that's more like a more plot related or more setting related.
Oh yeah, this is just
right.
her gigantic fanfic. Okay.
Okay, we'll just move this.
How many words is this? 36,000. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not
See,
bad.
My current work...
Star. I know that Star is a good writer, so we'll definitely get to this, but we want to get through the prompts first.
Let's see. What is the second one?
We have Anime AK 116.
Anime AK, okay, 116. All right, so here we go. The deserts of Vacuo, Kandar mountain range. Bodies litter the floor of the happy huntresses from Mantle. Okay, first
Misspelled,
sentence.
But
having some issues
let
here.
the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
No issue with the happy huntresses unless it's Fiona. If Fiona's in there, I will kill you. Well, what could be assumed to be bodies, as their bones, uniforms, and equipment lay broken and scattered. A man with a white cloak and a red inside kneeled down over a pile of scrap cloths, using a hand to brush away the ripped and torn cloth to find the name of Robin Hill. He just shakes his helmeted head side to side in disappointment. Tossing the name tape aside, he couldn't help but feel like he was sent on a death mission. Then again, from what he had heard, Hill was incompetent as a leader and a lying opportunist, so he wasn't surprised by the fact that she had a team of idealistic huntresses she would stand no chance against a grim horde. His gaze looked up the trail further. Though this felt more like an ambush, and crossbows wouldn't do any good against grim armor unless they were newborn grim. He then pulled his revolver from his right thigh holster. Okay.
10 out of 10. Best submission. Robin's dead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's already a plus in my book, but we got some issues here.
First of all, mantle is misspelled in the first sentence.
There's no space between it and well.
Yeah, like it's just period and then the next letter.
There's a lot of technical issues going on here, is what I'm trying to get at. Bodies litter the floor of the happy huntresses from Mantle. That is not typically how... I don't know if you're not a native English speaker or if you're just not the greatest at writing. Don't worry, nothing wrong with either. Just saying that it's something to keep in mind here.
Yeah, English does focus on, here's your subject, here's the thing happening to the subject, and here's what the subject is doing too. So if you're gonna say bodies litter, if you're saying the happy huntresses are dead, it's the bodies of the happy huntresses are littered on the floor, not the floor of the happy huntresses, because that implies that bodies litter the floor belonging to the happy huntresses, which could also be true. But like that, I know that's not what you're going for.
There's a flow to writing. So how to write that sentence alone, like even, I mean, this entire paragraph would need a lot of reworking. I imagine you're going to see a lot of the same going down.
This is how many words is this? This is 2,500 words, which is not long. Um,
It is longer than we asked because like
I mean, that's not a huge deal. It's also doesn't like. First of all, he spells plateau in two different ways. Technicals aside,
yeah.
this has SVO syndrome, where it's just he did this, he said that. A character study should really be just getting into the nitty gritty of the person. Looking down, I see a lot of like he pressed the function of his helmet, and he saw this, and he saw the creature, and
Yeah,
the creature. That's not a character study. That's just things happening.
That's describing the character and what he's doing. You're not describing how he's doing it, why he's doing it. You're not giving us his commentary on why he's doing it. You're not giving us a look into his voice. So, to kind of give an example here, if I had a character going, it was like, bodies littered the floor, the happy huntresses, that sham group from Mantle. Already, big improvement because it's two sentences now. Like, bodies littered the floor. Bam. It gives you first the impression this guy is very just quick to observe. Just very much like, oh, there are bodies, they're littering the floor. He's not mincing words, he's not trying to be flowery about it. That the happy huntresses, he's observing now who they are, that sham group from Mantle, and he's giving us context and a peer into his opinion on them. So,
oh man, there's weapon descriptions in this. When you get to weapon descriptions, you know you're in for it. Nobody cares. Like, that's a thing I really try to hammer in on this stream, is that nobody cares about the what rounds the weapon fires, what it's called, what the munitions are, how many. Nobody cares. Unless you make me.
Unless
you make me.
Unless you make it care, typically through character. Like, for example, the was it that famous Dirty Harry line? It was like the 457 Magnum or something like that. The 357. Yeah. The 357 Magnum, most powerful gun on the planet. Something like that. Like it's.
Yeah,
he's not saying that because he's trying to describe what the weapon is. He's saying that
it's a threat.
It's a threat.
By the way, speaking of gigantic revolvers, apparently the song of Big Iron was inspired by Marty Robbins walking into a gun shop and seeing a man purchase a 12-inch revolver that he could quick draw.
A quick draw 12? Holy shit!
Like, for those who don't know, a revolver is usually like this big, so a 12-inch revolver is like that long.
I have a ruler right here.
and this man is trying to pull it out like...
Like, imagine drawing this from your hip. Just like, bang! I almost cut myself.
Apparently the dude was like 6'4", so that kind of checks out.
Yeah, okay, I could actually honestly believe that. The man actually has the like, length to draw.
The man was ironwood. But yeah, so there's this part down here.
Where? I can't.
Like I'm at like page 3, page 4.
Page 4.
Where there is starting to be some dialogue. A character study should generally be dialogue heavy, and I don't just mean that by out loud. I mean the narration should be kind of like that should kind of be dialogue. Also, okay, my volume's loud. Can you turn me down?
Oh, okay. I'll just turn you down in Discord. Where is your thing on Discord? How do I... No. That's... Show chat.
Yeah, here, I'll just turn down my own mic.
Oh, there we go.
Is it better now?
125. That should do it. Hopefully. Hopefully that's better for you, chat.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're not professional here, and I talk very loudly.
She's not bringing the ukulele, guys. You don't need to worry about that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So yeah, she's right in that a character study, like, I mean, I guess it really can. You can write it very cold, You can write it very much like an absolute statement of fact that these things are happening.
Like Frontier's John Wick was kind of character study-ish because you have the narration that is from John Wick's perspective of him, like you see how he analyzes a situation and you see how he thinks through things. That is kind of a character study. It's not the point to that story, but it's a very good way of telling a story.
Yeah, because it brings the character to life. When you need to imagine how it's not how do I write this scene, it's how is this character experiencing this scene, how is he describing this scene. So like he walked into what looked like a rave club, and I experience this when I write too, where I have, oh, it seems this way, it looks this way, that should be used sparingly for when a character is a little less sure.
Like something I like to do is if you have a character and they're talking with their best friend, it should be like he looked at her disapprovingly, you know, his tone got serious. But then when she's talking to someone who's like not as close, it'll be like it'll be like, it seemed like he seemed kind of distant about it. He seemed like he wasn't like I think it should be used to kind of show relation as well.
Yeah, yeah, especially when interacting with characters. Walked into what looked like a rave club. I guess maybe that's actually probably best to be like he described the place as like that's a hard, because I'm only kind of cherry picking here at this point. I
you could do something like the bright lights, like the searing lights and the overpowering smell reminded him of the dank rave clubs he attended back in his hometown.
Yeah, like something like that would flow way better, and it would definitely give a picture of who this guy was, that he visited these places. So let's see. I want to look into dialogue a little bit, because I am a big guy on dialogue. I love me some good dialogue. So let's see. My friend, you have returned. He then looked at a couple with a crying woman.
So couple with a crying women.
Oh wow, that is
plural.
It's a plural singular. That is very impressive. You don't get many of those these days.
Again, I don't think we should make fun too much because I haven't seen in the chat. I don't know whose this is as far as the chat names go. This could be someone who doesn't speak English as a first language.
I know. Look. If we make fun of you, it's all in good jest because we find it funny. Like
is a rave club a thing? I'm not sure it is. Oh, you poor soul living, you naive soul living in like some mid-sized city in the northern states. It is, unfortunately, a thing. You're not missing out on much from what I hear.
Yeah, I don't understand the club atmosphere. Like, it's just loud music. Okay, I get the dancing, but like, oftentimes the music's garbage and just.
Actually, you know what? You know where rave clubs are popular?
Conventions. Like
the Mediterranean.
Yeah, but also, have you heard the song? Is it the song Mambo? Is it Mambo?
Mambo number 5?
No, it's
Little bit of Monica in my life.
Where is it? I have it in here somewhere. I bought it because I actually really thought it was. Yeah, it was Mambo, the Greek version by Ipari Logos. By Helena Paparizou. That's it. It's a very catchy, like, really pretty song, and like it's one of the few songs I'm like, I really want to get up and dance to this. So I'm like, if a Greek club played that, yeah, I'd be having a good time.
Yeah. I know. Raves are a thing here in the States, but like to find a club dedicated to them.
Yeah.
But because I know those exist when I've been to like the Mediterranean. But anyway, let's keep moving.
Yeah, let's keep moving. identified this body as the kid, though I suggest either cremation or a closed casket funeral. Okay, so I'm trying to get a feel for him as a dialogue, his dialogue. So what happened and whose head did you bring back? All right, that's... The masked hunter tossed the body bag of the head of the giant on the table and gently laid the body bag of his bounty's remains on the table. So you're repeating things there, but that's more technical stuff. We're trying to get more a feel here.
There just isn't much of a feel because it's all this very like flat. I mean, this just isn't a character study.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's really focusing on the singular character.
It's focusing on a story, and he just happens to be there. So
example, the masked hunter tossed the body bag of the head of the giant on the table and laid the body bag of his bounty's remains on the table. He tossed the giant's head to the table, setting the body bag next to it with slightly more reverence, like that already. Or more reverently, he rests the bounty's remains on the table. Like you could.
You should be describing.
How is
describing his actions?
A big part of a character study is the how. How do they interact with this world? That's really the point and the impetus behind it.
Few good race spots in San Francisco. I imagine there's some race spots in like New York City and LA and stuff, but we're getting off topic. Rev, I hope you're able to go to a D&B rave club one day.
Everyone knows Raymond is a lunatic. He was there the other night, raving. Whoa!
Raving.
Slow down, Maurice! Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's great. I fucking love that. So, thank you for bringing our son back to us. The hunter only nodded as he left. Yeah, okay, right there.
I need a blanket.
Oh, is it cold?
Yeah, it is cold. Hold on, I'll be right back. Keep talking.
So, yeah, to give an example here, you're having this guy bring back the head of the thing that killed this family's son, and the body of the son. And yet, every single word here treats them as if he treats them the same. He doesn't act, and that might be the intent. It might be the fact that he's so numb to this that he doesn't care, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels more like you're just describing what he's doing as opposed to just having him do the things. So if you wanted to show that he actually cares about the child more, about the child's corpse more, have him be more gentle with it. Have him be more respectful towards it. Have him lay it on the table while he tosses the head on the table. Like, you could have these little moments that just accentuate what he does and how he wants to do it. Or if he's indifferent, you could literally say he threw both corpses to the table. It'd be kind of janky a little bit, but you could make it work. It feels really it feels weak in that sense. It doesn't explore a character. It's a story where the character does things.
The character is a non-entity.
Walked into what was easily a rave club in the lingering air of varying alcohol is giving it away almost immediately. That and the disco ball hanging in the ceiling helps cement this line of logic. Wait, are you describing something that happened to you, or are you trying to write out a fix to the scene? Because that was better. He yeeted the corpse on the table, smashing it into pieces. Yes. Yeah. Oh my god! Can you imagine an entire character written in modern slang?
I was writing I was writing something, and I needed to describe a character getting mad and throwing something in anger, and it was 1 a.m. and I was so close to writing she yeeted her sword across the room.
I would only save that for the modern stuff. Um,
Yeah, I was very close to writing that before I realized what I was doing.
but let's move on to another piece because I think we spent enough time kind of thrashing Anime. What was his name? And she froze. Oh, yeah. Anime
You're right, I am froze. It's cold.
Anime AK 116. That's who it is. I feel kind of bad harping on it, so let's not harp on it much longer.
Let's go to Alpha Omega Beta Sin.
Okay. This is. I hope you didn't want your name on the thing, because your name is. Oh, is this Fireside? No, Alpha Omega. Oh, he's the one that had the download.
Yeah.
Which was the Raichu Master, I believe.
Yeah.
There we go. So we're getting a Pokemon one, which me and Molly are actually familiar with. So thank you for writing in a fandom we understand. It's
Hell yeah, I love Pokemon.
It's only 3 pages. Okay. Raichu Master by Alpha Omega Beta Sin. Did you know I have a little sister, Raichu? Raichu slurped up.
Starting with dialogue is fun.
Yeah, I love starting with dialogue. It's always great. Raichu slurped up the last of the soup in his bowl as the campfire flickered underneath the hanging pot. Out here in the desert, the lone, large, jagged rock formation provided cover from the sun's scorching heat. He and his trainer, Cole, had only a couple of miles to trek before arriving at Oasis City. They figured a good rest was in order. Setting up the campfire proved to be a hassle, but thanks to their Charmander and some dead tree branches, they managed to keep warm in the chilly, quiet night. Already,
All right, this is technically sound.
Yeah, this is technically sound, and we're getting little bits of character. It's not super big ones, but it's,
You don't need to drop super big ones.
you don't
at
need
first.
to drop super big ones. It's very, very. I mean, typically subtlety does go a long way in terms of character studies. So they figured a good rest was in order. That displays already. This is not like they're not rushing anywhere. There's not really an intensity to the scene. This is a more relaxed scene. It conveys so much in that just single sentence because it gives us a sense of tone and placement. And then it's setting up the campfire proved to be a hassle. They had an issue with it. It's simple as that. Though that's I don't know. Maybe I'm pulling for that one. I'm pulling out. So Cole set his plate down next to him, leaving it half empty. She would have loved you. Then again, she always loved Raichu's. Raichu licked his lips as he saw his trainer stare into the fire. You can probably cut that down a bit. Raichu licked his lips as his trainer stared into the fire. It can be kind of inferred from the fact that we're seeing this from Raichu's point of view that he's the one seeing this happen. That's always a very tricky part of third-person limited, is conveying what the character is seeing and what the character isn't seeing. You can easily wind up accidentally slipping into third-person omniscient, where you just have everything described going on. You kind of get like a bird's eye view of everything happening by accident. But like so far, this has actually been pretty consistent.
This hat's tight. I'm switching hats.
Yeah, it is. But sorry,
It is tight. It's the Worcesterelas, Massachusetts, baby.
that is a strange name.
The Worcester Railers, yeah. They used to be the Worcester Sharks.
That's a cool name. They probably changed it because of the Amity Island incidents.
You know what? You're
References.
probably right. Actually, no. They changed it because they used to be affiliated with the San Jose Sharks in the NHL, but they switched.
Oh.
I like that hat because it has a train on it, and Sarah got it for me. It's not thoughtful of her.
Very.
She also got me this.
That is nice. His amber
I
eyes.
think half my wardrobe is now gift material.
His amber eyes lit up in the fire's glow. The occasional gust of wind made the shadows behind them dance. You could probably. I mean, I would probably word that slightly different, but that's completely functional. That's completely fine.
It's a little flowery for my tastes, but
She always wanted everything with Raichu on it. Raichu backpack, pins, Raichu posters, Raichu plushies. If it had a Raichu on it, she'd want it. I'm noticing this a lot. People, when you do the ellipses, it's a space.
yeah, it's punctuation, so there
It's
is
punctuation.
a space after it.
It's like a period that doesn't end. The trainer stirred the soup in the pot with a ladle, as he spoke solemnly. Could probably shore that up a little more character, like, he twirled he twirled the ladle inside the pot. I'm not a big fan of being told how they're speaking, as opposed to trying to convey the inflection. So being told they spoke solemnly as he spoke, his tone going low or something like that. Like, I'm more of a fan of that, but I understand that it can get very tedious to do that. So I'm not gonna dock points on anyone that takes the very logical writing shortcut to describe simply the character as being solemn.
I had Raichu 1 and 2 and all the merchandise. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did.
My family would play charades on game night, and she'd always play a Raichu. Even did the voice. Raichu! 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 My sister...
Oh yeah, Raichu is like, hi, hi.
Yeah, it's like raspy. It's like Naruto voice. Raichu was half paying... Raichu was half paying attention, and half controlling his own temptations from getting the better of him. The aroma of the soup in the human's bowl wafted up to the poor Pokemon's nostrils, and it was tantalizing to the senses. All right, hungry Raichu. Again,
it's an animal.
The writing could be a little cleaner, but so far
it's a little wordy, but it's still pretty tight.
Yeah, you said flowery earlier. I don't think it's flowery. I think it is wordy. I think they're using a few too many words than they need to. But
that's kind of what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, but like you're getting the heart of it. If I were you, I would look into kind of shoring up your prose a little bit, just a little bit. You're almost there. You're actually at a really good point where, like, see, the aroma of the soup in the human's bowl wafted. The aroma wafting out of the human's bowl was tantalizing to the Pokemon's nostrils. Something like that, where you can just cut out a lot of needless filler words that are just kind of chaining things together. You can link things together through verb and action way smoother.
Yeah. Also, this is a personal thing, but I really hate it when they're like the human said, when it's like an animal's involved. Like, dude, I know it's a human. It's okay.
I don't mind that. It does. The problem I have with this is it kind of it disrupts flow a little bit, because it's not. We're not used to seeing that phrasing.
It brings me back to those like Facebook posts where it's like a picture of somebody's ugly ass dog, and then they're like, "Oh, Sniffles wants humans food. She doesn't understand." Like, those posts, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay, the funny one is when you had that like dog that was leaning up on its rear haunches, like trying to get at this guy's soup bowl as he's picking outside. It's like, Dobby wants some clothes. That's the one I actually like.
Also, the one where it's like, if you're in our house, you better get used to dog hair, and that we love them more than we like most humans. Like, shut up.
What I would do, try and come up with like a unique word or a unique phrase to describe humans from them, like the long legs.
Well, you don't have to do that. You could also just say the trainer, because that's how...
I could see that, but also I have a thing against like repetition. So using it like the trainer, and then later on the trainer, and then that's within like one paragraph of each other. So I can understand the want to use a different word to describe them, because I am all against all against repetition of words unless you're using it for a specific purpose. And also, hi, anime guy. Yeah, it's going good. How's it going for you guys? Silly baby speak about your pet wanting something. Yeah. Although,
By the way, you doggo hecking boofers types, you're not free from this either. You also need to stop. You are on a list.
though I will say, my cat is a handsome lad.
That's fair. Although if you talk like a normal human being to your animal specifically, you're just a sociopath. Like, who doesn't baby talk their animals?
Molly, stop calling me out. That's from Insane Oddball.
It's like what I've been obsessed with this like YouTube channel called of this cat named Thurston Waffles. The owner just talks like, express your feelings. What's wrong, Thurston? It's great. That's like the perfect way to talk to a cat.
Cole's gaze was still fixated on the flickering flames. You know, she was the one who wanted to become a Pokemon trainer, although she only wanted Raichus on her team. I'm gonna be a Raichu master, she'd say. Can you believe it? He chuckled to himself at that. Okay, so slight grammar thing here. That was the way that sentence ended. And this is something that I had a pain with, that I got in a huge argument with an editor over, is having things like he chuckled or they chuckled or what, she chuckled or whatever, being used as a description for talking. Like, can you believe it? He chuckled, as opposed to, can you believe it? He chuckled, if that makes any sense. And I had
you don't chuckle out words. It's like a thing you do.
Well, unless you're Kamala Harris.
Okay, that's fair.
Actually, no, I do, because that's the problem is I actually do talk like that, where I talk through I talk through my laughing.
Well, yeah, but that's like a different thing than talk, sad laugh, you know?
But I find that most people, it's more of a gradient. People don't usually talk like, yeah, my sister, can you believe it? Ha 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 ha, or something like that. It's typically like, can you believe it?
I know, but it's like...
It's like, I can imagine here, it's like, can you believe it? like it immediately flows into it. And that's usually why I would have written that way. I ultimately caved and I started writing it more correctly, but I understand this need. You were gonna say?
No, I was just kind of trying to articulate what you're talking about.
Not wanting to disturb Cole's heartfelt storytelling. Stop. Don't use the word heartfelt. Don't be like... Trying to describe someone as genuine is a very risky proposition for so many reasons. And it's a personal gripe, because it always feels like, oh, they're being heartfelt. How the hell do you know? Like, there are some damn good actors out there.
Also, it's a Raichu.
Hey, look, Pokemon are freaking smart, man.
I know, but like...
I mean, like, one of them is a god. Literally god. And if you believe in him, you start beating up people from the Kalos region.
Guys, you want to read my Pokemon fanfic about one of the characters getting jumped for sectarian violence?
God, I love that thing. That was great. It's just like so bizarre. I love how you just make the world of Pokemon super depressing. It's great.
Look, if they're going to base things off of real countries, I get to use anything I want from those countries.
Let's see. Where was I? Yeah, not wanting to disturb Cole's story. Just storytelling, or story. Just don't go with heartfelt. It really does feel forced. At least to me. I don't know about you, Molly. Do you have any opinion on that?
I do think it feels feels forced. Although it could be a reflection of the fact that it's a Pokemon and it doesn't truly. But I don't know.
Yeah. It's like you're already trying to make us feel like kind of a little bit of dread and sad over this story. This just basically, this is like laying your cards on the table. This is like showing your hand.
Never forget Pokénom.
Pokemon.
I'll upload that one shot one of these days.
The gluttonous animal began creeping its way to the half-finished bull next to the tall human. He inched closer and closer until he stopped, looking at his trainer's eyes. There was something forming in them. Tears. Was the soup too hot for him? Yeah, okay, especially if you're going this direction with it, don't use heartfelt.
Yeah, because it's clearly, like, has the emotional capacity of a child.
Yeah.
You know, just by virtue of it being a Pokemon.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I never wanted to be a Pokemon trainer. But I guess life doesn't turn out the way you want it to. I never became a world-class chef, and she couldn't become a Raichu master. Stuff happens, I guess. Okay, this raises the question of why he's talking about this now of all times.
I don't know, maybe he just felt in the mood, but he's kind of dropping a lot at once on this Raichu.
This Raichu's like, man, I ain't your counselor.
That's like me in the Discord voice chat every time someone tries to talk about their problems.
The young man leaned back and laid his head against his backpack, looking up at the rock's dimly lit underbelly. But I'm still here, aren't I? I can become one for her. He fought through the crack in his voice. Again, you're describing what he's doing, but you're doing this as though it's from Raichu's perspective. And so it doesn't really make sense. Like, you're describing something that would be better from his perspective as opposed to the Raichu's perspective. So I would probably... maybe something like there was a crack in his voice, but with a swallow it vanished. That kind of thing. You know, it's something describing what the Raichu is observing as opposed to what he's experiencing. Maybe not a Raichu master, but something close, right? Sure, I probably won't ever reach my dream, but I can reach hers. If I don't, she'll hate me for life. His expression changed from a soft sadness to a hardened determination. Again, you're telling us what it is as opposed to showing us what it is. Show, don't tell.
Dr. Raichu Therapist, the sequel to Detective Pikachu.
All right, we got fan art last time. Can we get fan art this time of Dr. Raichu? Of Dr. Raichu.
I remember there were edits where it was like Detective Pikachu, Forensic Homicide Investigator Eevee.
And then one day, Eevee was inside his lab when a lightning bolt struck and he became the Flash. Let's see. So his expression changed from a soft sadness to a hardened determination. His soft features hardened. Like, that's all you have to say. That's all you have to describe. Is like his expression. You don't want to say his expression. His soft features hardened. Raichu wasn't paying attention to the bull in front of him, transfixed by the human's resolve. You could probably clean that one up too. Raichu lost interest in the bull, transfixed by his human's words or his human's face or whatever. I don't know. And hey, who says you can't start your own Pokemon journey at 19? He asked. His voice, that's a typo. His voice echoed in the air, carrying melancholic purpose. I don't even know how to approach that one.
A girl is dead and Raichu is now a therapist. Express yourself. We're not laughing at your concept. I appreciate your concept. It's
Yeah,
just
so
the
so far
comment.
it has a few rough patches, but that can be ironed out. Like you can shear this up clean, nice and clean. Um, the After a moment passed, Cole grabbed the sleeping bag beside him, opened it, and tucked himself in, using his backpack as a pillow. Uh, I don't know if you could probably shore out a little bit of that interaction. Just say he opened his Cole opened his sleeping bag and tucked himself in. You could just slip that in pretty easily. Good night, Raichu. We got a big day ahead of us. After a soft yawn, the sleepy trainer closed his eyes. The scent of the embers crackled on as Raichu stared into the soup bowl into his own reflection. I think you intended this
was good overall.
I think this was intended to be a character study of the kid, but I found it a more compelling character study of the Raichu.
Yeah, I mean, you could go either way with it. I don't think this was bad at all. I think it was a good homework to the prompt.
Yeah, I like
it. Well, yes, this is what a character study is. You are focused, a concept of like taking just a soft kind of calm moment and then having these types of kind of harder conversations to really explore. In the Raichu's case, he is being challenged because it's a Raichu and
he is not a therapist.
Sorry, the comments, but he's a Raichu, and he has to deal with these like kind of intense situation.
Yeah, so like
that makes sense.
You have the exploration of one character is expressing himself through his words, the other is expressing itself through how he listens, and that's actually a fairly healthy dynamic. That's actually a very, very strong dynamic to write between two characters. Also, I realized I forgot music. Let me just Final Fantasy.
Broke service dogs, woke service cats, bespoke service Raichu.
Okay, there we go. Making sure the music sounds right. So yeah, overall pretty good. I give that a solid B plus, A minus around there.
All right, there was another one.
That was who's next?
That was recently sent in.
Frontier is next, and then move.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, let me pull that back up.
We haven't gushed about Frontier enough.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good. We're making sure it shows up on stream properly. The storm was getting worse. Sharp gusts had long ago given way to a howling gale, strong enough to blow sand along the ground like water. Dust choked the air like a shroud, cutting visibility down to mere feet in every direction, beyond which could be seen nothing but a blurry red haze, thick and only growing thicker by the minute.
All right, all right. That last sentence.
Yeah. Thick. Now, you use you use a simile basically, right? It's the correct term. The simile is like. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Use
is
two
like or ads.
Yeah, you use two similes back to back. Kind of want to avoid that for repetition. Again, I'm big on don't repeat yourself unless it's intentional. Reuse words every few pages if you can. Space it out as much as you can. So having two similes back to back without it feeling intentional, that's the weakest part of this sentence. And then also maybe using a semicolon or maybe a colon instead of a period after red haze. What do you think?
I think a colon.
Yeah. I think that would make it flow a little bit cleaner. But yeah, so far, good start. Good start. Not for the first time, Nomad wondered if he made a mistake coming back out there, back out here.
Oh, is this a Nomad of Nowhere fanfic?
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
People watch that show?
A smarter man than him would have said yes. He most certainly had. Barely an hour ago, he'd safely back at the village.
All right, that's a typo.
Barely an hour ago, he'd been safely back at the village, helping the refugees. He'd been guiding, battened down for the storm. He had every intention of staying with them, safe in the communal shelter, right up until he made a final head count and realized they were one short. Every survival instinct within had screamed at. I think you don't need within there. I think it's just every survival instinct had screamed at Nomad not to go after them, because like survival instincts are inherently within. You don't need to describe that it is within. It's an implicit statement. The refugee could have gotten lost anywhere along their path, and that storm was coming on fast. The chances of finding them before it hit, let alone getting back, were slim to non-existent. Going back out there was suicide. Going back out there was suicide. The other guides had said as much when they shouted at him to come back.
Oh, this is an original work. Okay. I want to say, I love the way he starts paragraphs.
It's an interesting note. Describe.
He starts with these strong sentences that really draw me in.
Yeah, I understand that. That I definitely relate. He knows there's an art to hooking people. That's why I always try and start with a very strong first line in a story, because I know that the first line can set an entire impression for the book. I mean, one of my favorite opening lines that I've been meaning to get back to is, "What the hell am I doing?" That automatically sets an impression of a character and what the hell is going on in the story. But yeah, every paragraph here, you're very, very snappy of it. I like it. Steeling himself, Nomad lowered his head and pushed on through the wind. He was retracing the path the column had followed, navigating by memory alone as the storm hid any landmarks. It was a necessary skill for his calling, but one he had never truly mastered, often needing to rely on his brother for such things. His recollections on such things, again, immediately you're repeating things, and that it doesn't feel strong. His recollection on such things had always been picture perfect. And I can see there's a little bit of confusion there, because this paragraph starts referencing Nomad, but this last sentence references his brother. So it was necessary skill for his calling, but one he'd never truly mastered, often needing to rely on his brother for such things. I don't know how to fix this one. So that's the problem with good writing, is that, or really, really good writing, is that at a certain point, it gets even harder to... It becomes even harder to actually fix things, because you're like, that would ruin others. I don't know. If I were you, William, I would just sit down and rethink that last sentence.
I mean, it is good to sometimes just read things out loud to yourself.
Yes, yeah, that's...
And say, does this sound good?
Yeah, because like you're in your head, you will skim over things. So by reading it out loud, you force yourself to read things you would not have otherwise read.
You have to remember that human storytelling began with oral tradition. So all kind of storytelling is based on, does this sound good when I say it out loud? So that's always a good litmus test.
Yeah. Especially if you're writing like a young, like a kid's novel, or like a Harry Potter. Harry Potter was very pleasant to read out loud. At least because like me and my mom and my sister would read it together out loud to each other. Fun memories. Nomad wished his brother were here now, for a multitude of reasons. Yeah, I think you could actually just cut that last sentence. His recollections on such things had always been perfect. You could cut that sentence or maybe move it down into this next paragraph here instead. Nomad wished his brother was here now for a multitude of reasons. He could certainly use his help, or perhaps simply the example of not stumbling off into a storm like this. His brother had always been the smart one like that.
You don't need that either because you implied it with the last sentence.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a good job of establishing important things. You know, we're like a page. You know, we're 2 pages in, 3 pages in, or 2 pages.
Yeah.
And you're giving us these like kind of little kernels of mystery about, oh, he has a brother. What's this brother like to him? What does it mean to him? Don't reveal that, you know, reveal later or just imply that his brother was the smarter one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think you just by cutting the absolute statements, unless like you make that a repetition point where it's like he is constantly affirming that his brother was the smart one, which could lead to future subversion, because when you introduce his brother, if you do, we could see through a less biased lens that his brother isn't as perfect as he makes him out to be. Or maybe he is. Maybe he's a fantastic brother, and like the absolute loss of him really is that damning.
Yeah. Unreliable narrator.
Yeah, it's very, very, very strong. So if you keep up this repetition, if you like repeat this another point where his brother had always been, his brother's recollections on things, his brother, if you have that repeated in specific sections, like different paragraphs, it forms a mental map of what this guy is like. This nomad needs therapist, Raichu. Yes. A violent gust tore past Nomad, strong enough to stagger him back a step. He desperately held his balance, knowing that even the slightest disorientation could spell his doom. If he lost his sense of direction, he might never find his way back. When the gust had passed, Nomad dropped to one knee to steady himself and regain his bearings. This was getting him nowhere fast. If he stayed out here much longer, he was going to get lost. That was simply a fact. The storm was getting so bad that soon even the best guide wouldn't be able to navigate. The smart decision would be to turn around and go back while he still could. It would save not just himself, but all the others who would otherwise perish without his skill to guide them. It was a grim choice, choosing many lives over one, but it was the best choice, the smart choice. And yet the thought of doing it, of leaving the poor lost soul to their fate, haunted Nomad. They could be not 10 feet in front of him, and neither of them would ever know it. 10 feet away from salvation, only for Nomad to give up and walk away, leaving them to die, scared and alone. He had to make a choice. Now, one thing I'll note that you're kind of missing here is that you keep referring to this as a singular. You demonstrate that Nomad has a great care for these refugees, yet he doesn't seem to describe or understand who it is he's looking for very much. You refer to it as the refugee and the poor lost soul to their fate, but you never describe who this person is he's looking for. Does he know who this person is? Does he not know? Is he going based purely on description from the people in the group? Is he being like, is he like, oh, is it a child? Is it an adult? I'm kind of getting mixed messages on what he's looking for here. So,
yeah, I'm kind of confused too.
And that radically changes the situation. If it's an adult that got lost or an old person that got lost, it's less tragic than if it were, say, a child that got lost.
Yeah. Well, don't beat yourself up too much over this, because you have something really good here. You just revise it a little. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, seriously, that's the big thing. Like I'm going through my my first real Passover of my current work. And I will tell you, there are parts that I'm sitting there, I'm like, why did I write it this way? this is really weird and I'm fixing things up in a way that sounds better now.
And that's the whole point of going back. And anime guy, whatever. My intention was for him to be cold and calculating. Well, you didn't show that or intend it, from what it seems. So,
yeah, it didn't quite come across that way.
It didn't feel like a study at all. So,
but I understand. Like it's character studies are an interesting thing to practice because
it's just a different style of writing, but it's in my opinion, the better style of writing.
Yeah, because all stories are benefit from the fact that there are characters.
Yeah, your whole story should be constant character studies, unless you're doing some like Lord of the Rings type thing where it's like half the book.
That, but I know most people would complain that Lord of the Rings had a lot of character study going on.
You know what I mean? Unless you're doing some like big grand epic where you have to spend half the book explaining what the hell everything is, just do a character study.
Yeah, which admittedly, I think choosing Ruby for the setting was already a problem there. Because God knows nothing of that.
That's the thing, though, is that you could take like Weiss and put her in anything, and then use her backstory to influence her current actions. But they never do that, so.
Yeah, it's actually why I like Ruby fanfic a lot that are AUs, because they actually have a better grasp of the characters than the actual show does half the time.
No, don't encourage people to write more the most banal, like, they're in high school, they're in college, they're in a rock band. Don't. Stop. Just stop. No, if you have
realize I technically wrote one, right? And it was a character study on Weiss having PTSD.
I know, but that's not what most of that is. Most of it's just like Blake and Yang are going into the same study group together.
Let people enjoy what they enjoy.
I'm going to. I'm just not going to say it's high literature. Promise you. Ooh. I like it when people are just like, they're trying to give an excuse as to why they didn't go to prom. They're just like, well, it wasn't acceptable for me to. It's just like, dude, yes, it was. Go with your friends.
There was actually a pretty decent one that I read where it was Yang was a boxer on the boxing team, and like it actually focused a lot more on like the high school boxing environment, and like at one point
that's not a thing.
What, high school boxing?
No, wrestling is. I've never heard of a high school boxing team. There would be so many lawsuits up the ass.
Was it boxing or was it wrestling? I thought it was boxing. Yeah.
A high school boxing team would literally get sued to oblivion because a kid would get like a fractured neck.
I mean, that's kind of what happened. Yang got the shit kicked out of her because Emerald stuffed her gloves. Which, yeah.
I know, but it's always an endpoint for shipping. It's just that they got bored of writing the same fucking story, so now they have to come up with Bumblebee Library AU. Like, that's the real motive behind it. The motive isn't to do a character study. The motive is end goal for a ship, but with a different coat of paint. There's a difference between an AU where you're actually trying to think about, is this an interesting setting? And then me going onto fanfiction.net and being like, I bet there's some Attack on Titan yaoi fic that's about ice hockey, and then finding that.
God, remind me to tell you, there's an entire Madoka fanfic that's about ice hockey, and like, it's one of the longest stories in the entire fandom. It's rated E, as in like for explicit on AO3, and it's like, I don't know how I have not tried to read it because I don't care about hockey, but it has like every ship in it. You just look at the shipping list and it's like Madoka and Sayaka, Madoka and Kyoko, Madoka and Nomura, Madoka and Mami. I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Man, this hockey is different than the one I played.
Yeah, because instead of a puck you're passing around, it's your woo-ha.
There are boxing teams, actually. I just found some high school boxing teams. Wow, they're not going to last very long, are they?
Um, Cameron Delk. I love how Ruby completely glosses over serious issues: abuse, PTSD, addiction, racism. Yeah, who doesn't love that? Because who wants to actually, look into deep and troubling philosophical quandaries that might make a story interesting?
Yeah. I do like doing romances. The issue is convincing others that it works. Yeah, that's the thing. Is that a lot of ships? It's literally just here's A and B doing cute things, but they're in blank. That's what I don't care for.
I mean, I am all for that stuff to like wind down from. Like it's good wind down stuff after like very serious stuff.
There's a few high school boxing teams in Chicago. Okay, I believe that. I 1,000,000,000% believe that.
Yeah, 'cause I was like that. I think my high school had a boxing team. I'm pretty sure we did. I know we have a.
I
We were
mean,
big on
I'm from
wrestling.
like the preppiest county in the U.S., so that probably makes sense that I wouldn't have
Yeah,
known.
yeah, and
Boxing is icky.
and in fairness, my high school was on like the ledge of the ghetto, so yeah.
All right, okay, that's on me. There are high school boxing teams. I don't think they should exist,
uh,
but
Still, we had one of the best schools in the entire. Actually, we have one of the best schools in the state. Honestly, it's great.
listen, my county was so fancy pants preppy that there were rugby teams in the high schools. Rugby,
Damn.
like this. I've actually read that rugby was invented by like some prep school in England to show how tough they were.
Floof just messaged me that
So
he forgot to write something. It's all right, Floof. We still love
it's
you.
all right, Flu. Um,
Someone sent
Ruby
Floof a
prom.
head pat.
But in chapter 4, John walks into the prom with an AK. No!
Fun fact: my high school had a trap shooting team. Damn, it's cool.
That's a cool ass high school.
God, remember when high schools used to have like shooting ranges or like the regular like gun stuff? Ah, those were the days.
My college has a air rifle range.
Yeah, but that's air rifles.
Well, they're good. They're a lot safer and less expensive to practice with.
Fair, but
I'm pretty sure that like sports shooting is done with air rifles for that same reason.
hmm.
But yeah, so there was a rugby team because they needed to prove how preppy they were. Um, I don't remember boxing. I remember wrestling.
The people that are sending me things right now, we'll probably have to get to them later, because
Yeah.
I can't really pull it up on stream like that. So back to what we were doing,
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
because we were talking about boxing for like 20 minutes there. It feels like. Do. And yet the thought of doing it, blah blah blah. They could be not 10 feet. He had to make a choice. That's where we were. Nomad reached down and gathered up a fistful of sand from the ground. He held it out in front of himself, opening his fingers slightly to allow the grains to tumble out in a thin stream.
All right. That's a bit. I guess he's like that's him focusing on what's happening. But
I think you might want to shore that up to like to allow the grains. Opening his fingers slightly to let the grain stream out of his hands. I think that would be a cleaner rite. An old trick he'd been taught to help focus his mind during meditation. It would certainly be needed here. Silently reciting words learned from a lifetime of repetition and devotion, Nomad retreated into himself. The howling wind and blowing sand faded away, time stretching away into infinity as he beheld his inner mind. A place of his deepest memory and vastest thought, from the frivolous to the forgotten, from the frivolous to the forgotten, I think there's a typo there, to the secret to the not yet had. If there was any clarity to be found, it would be found here. As he continued to chant, Nomad saw a face coalesce before him, one he recognized instantly. Though it sat in shadows, details details worn smooth by long years, he knew that smile. That's a little weird. Is that a little weird to you? Though it sat in the
Read
shadow,
it again.
Though it sat in the shadows, comma, details worn smooth by long years, comma, he knew that smile.
I think it's a little weird, but I like the general structure. Like, I think it's fine. It's just uncommon language.
Yeah, I got what you're going for. Just, I don't know, it doesn't flow as well to me. Half amused, half sincere, shining with all the glory of the sun itself. Until his dying breath, he would never forget his brother's smile. It did his heart good to see it now. Just as quickly as it had appeared, the face began to fade back into the eternal fog. Nomad tried to cling to the vision, but it slipped away like the sand between his fingers, gone as the last few grains blew away in the wind. With the wind. Nothing had changed when Nomad returned to the world. The same storm blowing up the same dust, forcing the same terrible choice upon him. He still did not know how to make. What am I supposed to do, brother? No answer came to him. Nomad felt himself deflate, losing the strength to hold himself up as his gaze dropped to the ground in defeat. It was the only reason he saw the footprint. His heart leapt at the sight of it. It was barely visible among the shifting sands, but it was unquestionably a human footprint. I would just kind of it was unquestionably there, just because you don't want to repeat the words again. An extremely fresh human footprint, or maybe you're just going for the repetition angle. That's fair. Extremely fresh.
I mean, there's nothing. I know you're really anti-repetition, but as someone from a more poetry background, I'm kind of okay with it.
For me, repetition has to be purposeful. It can't be just accidentally using the same word over and over again. So here, I think you might have a better argument because he's actually using it. I think maybe then shoring up that sentence. His heart leapt at the sight of it. It was barely visible among the shifting sands, but was unquestionably a human footprint. An extremely fresh human footprint. Otherwise, it would have already been erased by the storm. Following where the print pointed, Nomad discovered a short trail of them disappearing off into the haze. 10 feet away, indeed. His brother would have found that funny. He had always been a smartass. That was
I think you could have ended that a little stronger.
Yeah.
You could have ended it on 10 feet away, indeed.
I think that would have been a stronger ending.
Yeah, this is definitely still a good example of what a character study is meant to be. Very, very focused on one character and his interactions with the world around him.
So yeah, very, very impressive. Very, very good work, just like last time, William. Excellent work. Then who? I believe this is the last of the.
There's the one I sent you, the Ruby one.
Right, I'll put that up too. We're on, but right now we're on Moopa.
Okay, let me get this open. It's weird when I go back to Discord and I see me, and then I'm just like, wow, that sure is me, and I have a bit of an existential crisis about it.
So do you want to take this one? Because my voice is getting a little dry.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Let me just drink.
Sip. I'll just look here and look refined with my pipe.
Oh no, the main character's name is Noelle.
Stevenson, why?
I am bigoted against people named Noelle specifically. I'm just kidding. I'll put that aside for now. Noelle's feet wobbled. Dust slipped into the gaps of her cybernetic limbs, grinding the metal. She walked with half-shut eyes. The sunlight reflected off the patchwork flats, dividing her surroundings into white and blue. Okay, that's some nice imagery. Only the occasional withered bush broke up the monotony. Her jerky tongue ran against chapped lips, her breath a dry heave. The silver choker around her neck was heavy. Flowery, but good imagery.
I
This
can
is
do
what she got for using the anonymity. She might have known the stupid necklace would teleport her to a place like this. Stupid, stupid, stupid. She always did things like this. And things always went wrong because of it. Always acted impulsively, and that's how people died. She wasn't in any condition to try using its power again, even if she was moronic enough to attempt it. There was nothing for her. There weren't even any birds or insects to pick at her bones. You could always cast. Noelle's eyes snapped open. Big mistake. Her organic eyes shut in pain. She pushed the white bangs out of her face, the errant curls in her long hair hanging limp. All right, that's a little bit wordy, but she pushed the bangs out of her face. Period. Um, Her brain was cooking inside her skull. Too much UV radiation pounding on her head plate. That's the wording here is really interesting. It's like very descriptive.
It is. It is. I'm trying to
It's
think.
good.
There's something about it that doesn't quite sit well with me, but I don't know what it is.
You know what it is?
What?
It's so you know you
It's
have
the tense,
passive
I
voice
think.
and active voice.
Yeah, I think it's the tensing.
This is hyperactive voice.
Interesting.
This is what I call it when you open up like a My Hero Academia fan fiction, and it's like Deku heaved and his muscles tensed as the tendons ripped through. Like it's this is you're actually hitting more of the systemized writing, or not systemized, empathized writing. This is the opposite of systemized.
Yeah.
That I've mentioned.
The issue I'm having is that like
It's considering her situation, it feels too intense.
well, no, not just that, but like it's the like part of it is like using different tensing with the verbiage. So like she walked with half shut eyes. The sunlight reflected off the patchwork flats.
The sunwork reflecting off the
Reflecting, like I'm noticing little moments like that where it's like it's not quite the word. You're on the right path. You're just using the wrong tense of a verb, basically.
Yeah, so active voice tries to make you avoid using ing words. So that's why this is hyperactive voice. Don't be afraid of a passive voice. Like, don't be afraid of the word was, basically.
Yeah, was is a wonderful thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum. Wait, shit.
Nice.
Where were we?
Sorry.
Too long?
Too long without food or water. Next, she'd be imagining a pool she could dive into. Her trail of footprints in the sand got longer and longer. Her shadow never seemed to move from under her. You wouldn't have to suffer like this if you cast it. This time, Noelle thought she saw who was talking, a dark figure just to her left. But they were blurry, and when she tried to focus, they were gone. Maybe next time she came across one of those skeletal shrubs, she could shove her head under for some shade and take a break. Noelle, look at me.
I am the
figure
captain
was
now.
right The figure was right in front of her, just a little taller than her, with light eyes and black hair that curled on the ends just like hers.
Yeah, that you know how you say you wanted to cut that line about the errant curls? Now
Yeah.
you can definitely cut that line because you get that same description now in the mirroring that you're displaying here.
Noelle needs therapist Raichu. We all need therapist Raichu right now. Noelle walked through the mirage. You're dead. You will be too soon if you don't cast. You will be too if you don't cast. Not soon.
Yeah. Soon is like when you're really trying to push for immediacy. But then again, like, you will be too soon. I could see someone saying that necessarily because that's where
You just need. I think there's a missing comma in there.
Yeah, like you will be too soon if you don't cast. Like I could see someone saying that because I always give a lenience to dialogue. Dialogue can be messier than prose because
because people talk weird.
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee you, if you write out half the word that I say, it doesn't sound like proper human speech whatsoever. And that's what prose is. Prose is cleaned up human speech effectively, if that makes sense. It's like if you ran your human speech, your speech through a filter that cleaned it up to make grammatical sense.
Yeah, so Nurse Gothitelle. Um, I love the chat. But yeah, I think this is good as a character study as well, because especially in like the kind of first part of the first page, you're seeing a lot of this very strong narration where it's really digging into the character's head. It's just the prose a little too intense, a little too active. Dial it back a little,
I don't
really
know.
cut it down.
She seems stuck in a desert and in a really bad situation. I don't know if it being too intense.
That's fair.
Also, Nikhil, yes, exactly. That is exactly how you pronounce it. That you will be, comma, soon. Or
Yeah,
no,
maybe I'm just a little bit picky on that, but hyperactive voice can be a little much sometimes. Again, the first half of the page really good in terms of like she's kind of beating herself up for it. It's just when it's like. I also really like her trail of footprints in the sand got longer and longer, because like that implies she's dragging her feet without you actually saying it.
yeah, yeah.
I like stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just being picky.
Okay, well,
You should know why I don't cast spells anymore, why I swore off that branch of magic. The robotic half of her body marched on while the organic half stumbled. It would save your life. You won't survive otherwise. Maybe it's better that way. You wouldn't say that if Kane or Smitty were out here with you. You've already casted twice now since the accident, both times to save him. Kane isn't like me. He doesn't deserve to die. Neither do you. You weren't there, Mom. You don't know what happened. How I
You're not
ruined
my
everything.
mom. Sorry, couldn't resist.
Um, It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was. She stopped, knees shaking. I was trying to replace you, as if I ever could. You were just a child. You still are a child. She raised her voice. At least if I die out here, nobody will find the enmity. Not for a long, long time. That can be the last and only piece of good I do for the world. This is might just be a me thing, but this is a little too much dialogue with nothing kind of padding it out.
Like no description, no prose
Yeah.
to help it. I don't know. Because she's getting in there, like describing how she's reacting physically to it, like she stopped, knees shaking, that sort of thing. Oh, High Power just messaged or sent a chat. What is your thought on literary role playing style works? Listened to a few of them recently. The stat breakdown is a little jarring, to be honest. Literary role playing style works?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. I'll have to look into that after the stream. Send me a message on Discord to remind me about it.
All right, so look, I'm like trying to read this over. Looking back, this actually is a good example of how to kind of make your prose kind of stronger but not too strong.
Just explain. What do you
Like really reading it. I have to say this is like good strong prose,
Yeah, she stopped.
but
knees
but it's
shaking.
not overwhelming.
Yeah, she stopped. Knees shaking. Arms are heavy. There's vomit on us. Oh wait. Oh fuck.
She stopped, knees shaking. I was trying to replace you as if I ever. Okay, we reread that.
Sorry. My biggest issue is that she knows she's talking to an illusion, and that feels. I mean, it's part of the character. Like it's kind of part of the character study itself. But I don't know. Something about it, just like a character yelling into the waste and then having something answer back. I feel like there's something about this that could be done a little bit better, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. This is really good, but
it could be stronger. Like that's the first rule. You're never finished. What you have might be good. It could always be better.
God, you've already lived a better life than I ever will. Can't you at least let me have a better death than you? That should be a question mark, not an exclamation point.
Or both, if you're really trying to get the emphasis across.
Yeah, but there should be a question mark in there. Her breath was ragged with unfairness. Huh. I don't think that works.
Yeah, that doesn't. No. Again,
Chest
you're
desperate to be
you're
filled.
saying what it is as opposed to letting us understand from the context what it is.
Yeah. This is kind of Let's see. I'm sorry for leaving you. Noelle whipped around, but she was gone. Her lungs pushed a wail through her cracked throat, and her knees impacted the sand. When she woke again, the stars were out. The first two paragraphs are really strong. If you could just keep that going for the rest of this would be really good.
Yeah, this is
Just keep that balance between intensity and just kind of down to earth like description.
Yeah, I agree. I think I liked going into the dialogue heavy stuff, but I think you're right that it did start to feel a little one-sided towards the dialogue as opposed to the prose, where we're not entirely sure what she's seeing or how she's seeing it. It feels like we're kind of losing. I think you're right overall. We're kind of losing the intensity of the situation here. Like when she raised her, like for example, she raised her voice, motioning to the sand, motioning to the sand that surrounded her for miles, just being like, at least if I die out here, nobody will find the Anamidi. Like giving the indication of like, out here is the middle of nowhere. Give us an indication of physically about what this place is, that kind of thing. But yeah, overall, very strong. I actually really like this Mupa.
Yeah, good work.
Okay.
All right.
So.
And we do have one more.
Yep. Oh,
I forget.
It's already 6:06, man.
Well, we didn't start till like 4:45.
True, but I mean, still. Oof.
This one was sent pretty late. This is from Kayokane. I don't know if that's how she says it. But...
Yep, it's yeah, okay. You want to take this one too? Again, actually this is short. I can do this. Hi, Mom, Rumi murmured to a small cutout picture of the person she missed more than anything in the world.
Oh,
Stop!
It's not a her. Apologies.
Stop. Already we have issues. Oh, Lord. The point of a character study is to, again, this goes back, show, don't tell. You can do this in writing. In writing, you can tell, but it is the most dangerous line of, I would argue, in any medium, in writing, showing, telling, not showing, is the most dangerous route to go into. Because
I don't think this is as offensive, it's just really cliched.
Well, think about this. The person she missed more than anything in the world. Isn't that kind of like...
Oh, that.
Yeah.
That is telling.
Yeah, that...
You can cut that easy.
You can cut that easy. Like, in like, cutout picture. You could easily transfer this into as, like, Ruby murmured, her breath reaching, brushing against the picture in her hand. Like, it gives an idea of the proximity to her face this thing is, or maybe like her words echoing out to the picture across the room, or whatever. Like, you could describe through how she's talking to this thing, and its proximity would describe to what extent she's referencing. Like, if she's murmuring to it and it's close by, that's very close and intimate. If she's murmuring to something that's across the room, it's small and distant. And you can convey so much information through those little tidbits, and how that informs the character. So, like, is she supposed to be lonely in this scene? Well, then have it across the room and have her be talking to a distant image. If it's something really close by, it's a moment of vulnerability and kind of comfort of sorts, where she's like, "Hi, Mom, how's it going?" And she's like being kind of curled up on herself. Also, you don't need that comma there. That comma at the very end. That doesn't work at all. You're not flowing into a second sentence. Yeah. That should be a period.
And then there should be a comma. No, that's also a period.
Yeah. Also, what do you mean? Where's the other comma? Or was the other period?
Chat in a while because it's the end of dialogue, but then I realized she's not doing it like at the end of a sentence. So
Yeah, can you actually pick up on this? I'm starting to feel lightheaded. Oh my god.
sorry. Ruby checked over her shoulder to make sure no one was listening as she pressed the folds of her mother's picture to straighten out further.
Too much. Too much. You can.
Too much.
Yeah, no. I'm saying to like this. This sentence is too much. I like. Ruby checked over her shoulder to make sure no one was listening as she pressed on the folds of her mother's picture to straighten it out further. It's like, I get the intent there, but it's a little too much. It's a little overwhelming to the reader because you're just like, Try and chop that up a little bit. Try and shorten it down. Continue. Go ahead.
Hello, sweetheart. Ruby's mind invented a half-remembered voice. I like that half-remembered voice.
Yeah.
Is everything all right? You seem distant. Yeah, I don't know, she stammered as tears formed in her eyes while she considered what she was doing. I need your advice. I lied to Ironwood, and I don't know if it was the right thing to do. Yeah, I was using the hat to refocus the camera. Anyway.
Also, guten Tag, Phineas. Wie geht's? Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you trust him? I want to. I really do. But Ruby paused. She thought about what she saw in Mantle and the latent sense of wrongness about it. I'm literate. Why don't you trust him? Ruby was crying to her. Okay, too much.
Yeah. Just say it was hard to respond. It was hard to respond. The words caught in her throat, something like that.
Yeah, it's too much telling.
Yeah.
Why didn't she trust Ironwood? He had trusted her unconditionally in letting her team keep the lamp. He told her his plan, yet she lied to him. Was she wrong? I can't answer that, the imitated voice stated after a moment. Ruby's hand clasped the picture hard as she failed to hold back her tears. We know she's crying.
Yeah.
You know, several sharp taps pulled Ruby from her sobs. Someone was at the door. Breathe in. Now hold. 2, 3. What does Penny sound like?
Ruby.
She sounds... Ruby.
Penny's soft voice drifted through the steel doors. Are you in there?
Are you in there? Yeah, like that. Breathe out and hold 2, 3. Ruby repeated the long memorized process until she finally regained her composure. Then she practiced her smile, her mask, to perfection. She couldn't allow herself to break now, or she wouldn't be able to pull herself back together. Yes, Ruby. Yes, Penny, come in.
Okay, I like what you're going for here. I just think that you need to work on your technical writing a little bit first. But I think
it's a lot of being able to convey the scene without telling us exactly what's going on. Which, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of Show Don't Tell.
Yeah. So Ruby repeated the long memorized process. We got that. We kind of got the implication that it was long memorized. Ruby muttered the mantra again and again, and it is where repetition can come in. Again and again and again and again. And with each muttering, her composure, her breath steadied, her and her tears dried. Like you can go into the physical, use physical descriptions to describe emotional moments. Use physicality to describe emotionality.
Yeah. The way that humans recognize emotion is by reading people's faces and actions.
So if you describe faces and actions, we can get a perceived notion of the emotion.
Like that is what makes humans emotionally intelligent is just our range of faces.
Yeah. And I do like, then she practiced her smile, her mask to perfection. I would say after like the repetition thing, it's like, and then she put the mask back on, a smile to perfection. Like that tells, that informs way more of how she thinks about it. And it's a much cleaner statement. uh, and it already implies that she's practiced it because like this is something that she has. It's something that she has at the ready. Uh, uh, if she were, and then you could just have if she were to break now instead of this last sentence. If she were to break now, would she be breaking now? Breaking now wouldn't. Let's see, breaking now would be a mistake. She wasn't sure if she could put herself back together again. Something like
Humpty
that.
Dumpty.
That's a. I guess you would go for a Humpty Dumpty reference there, though I don't know if it really is warranted.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, you're kidding, but like, think about Ruby as like a fairy tale mumbo jumbo. Could be. I would have preferred repeatedly. There was some form of sentences. That's the trick: is that you have to get over your own biases. You have to fight them sometimes. Cameron Dell confirmed Ruby is the thing. Oh Jesus. That'd be horrifying. Ruby just walks out. Ruby's the imposter. Oh God. Just starts spearing people. Like that's why she can't kill Penny. It's robotics. She can't replace it. The robotics. So definitely not the best. But I definitely see where you're going for. So it gets a passing grade. Passing. Low passing.
Get a C plus.
C plus.
Like me in all my classes.
And honestly, it's 6:17. We should probably start wrapping up the stream, even though we have flickering candles from Star and a fanfic from who was it that sent in the fanfic? I believe it was Anime AK 116 sent in the fanfic. I minimized Molly again. Oops.
We can read Stars just because we already brought it up, and I feel like it's rude if we don't.
I mean, we can save it for next time, so we actually have a topic next time.
What do you think the topic should be?
That's a good question.
It's today's homework. I saw someone say like you should do like a comedy writing homework, but that's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, comedy is one of those things that's just that's messy. Comedy gets real messy as a writing prompt.
There are some fanfics out there that are like intentionally badly written to be funny. So like, where do you even go with that?
Yeah, I mean, like chatfics, for example, they're funny because it's literally just characters doing stupid shit. It's literally just them being funny. Once I finally let's see. Once I finally get around to writing, I send it to you. Okay. Next time on Fireside Chat Z. Yeah. What? Okay. I mean, let's think on this. What should we focus on? We had a lot of. Let's focus on descriptive writing next time because we had a lot of good descriptive writing from William and from Mupa. So let's focus on that. Here is.
Okay.
What do you want to prompt?
Okay, I just watched Steins Gate, so Murder on the Brain. But I want you guys to write a scene where a character comes across a crime scene. And it could be any sort of it could be an arson, it could be a murder, I don't know. Crime scene.
We should give them a challenge of like a crutch that a lot of people lean on. We should take that away from them.
What do you have in mind?
I don't know, like what would typically be used during the description of a crime scene that would be very, very convenient shorthand?
Stench of blood. I don't know. It's a cliche.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but it's not that's descriptive. That's actually descriptive.
That is descriptive. What is it? I don't know if I want to take a crutch away.
Well, because like, if you take a crutch away, it forces them to actually adapt. It forces people to actually use things they wouldn't typically be. Like,
You know what? You know what?
don't start a single sentence with a pronoun.
Wow. Okay. You know what I had in mind?
What do you have in mind?
Steins Gate's getting a sequel. Oh shit.
No,
Oh.
it has a sidequel called Steins Gate Zero, and it's terrible.
Well, I know that Steins Gate Zero was terrible. I mean, I've heard it's okay, just really depressing. I was about to say what just recommended in the chat, which is that the character's blind or it's very dark.
Maybe, but that kind of defeats the purpose of description.
Well, it does because you're taking away, yeah, because they're focusing on senses they wouldn't otherwise. Because everybody defaults to vision.
True. Limited vision. We can just say
Vision.
you have limited vision. You're in a dark room. You're blind. You can
Anything
see.
of
There
that
are
sort.
things that can be seen, but to a limited extent. Like, it's very difficult to see things, and that's part of the challenge. So that's the writing challenge out to you people this week. You're at a crime scene, and it's very difficult to make things out visually. How you handle that? Yeah. I'm eager to see. Keep it within about 500 words, people. We it's very, very taxing on the throat to read out a lot of long things. So 500
Right,
words, 1,000 maximum. Sound good?
Yeah, just so we could get to other people's stuff too, because I feel bad when people send in things and we just can't get to it.
Yeah, Star, we'll try to get to your thing later. Promise. I'll leave up the tab all week. Also, this Remnant of Rose thing, we'll leave it up as well. But I think, for now, that is about all we have time for. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember that for $1 or more, you get access to the Team Frostbite Discord server, the Tundra, where I and Molly are regular participants. If you want to get yelled at for your writing, Molly is always there to provide.
It's how I pass time during classes.
So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you all on the flip side.
Bye, guys.